Hey everyone, welcome back to Sip and Dip with Chelsea. For today's video, we are doing an all-inclusive from beginning to end dip powder process. I will have certain parts of the process timestamped down below, so if you're only interested in certain things that I'm doing, then you can find that linked in the description. And we are just going to cover so much today. I'm going to talk about lifting, I'm going to talk about chipping, and the 3/4 method, and everything in between. On my other hand here, this is from Dream Dips, and it's called Barbie Shine. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I've got my glass vial here from Bonafide Beauty on Amazon, and I love these. They are so gentle on your natural nails. So I'm just gonna touch up really quick and shape my nails. I did do a video comparing glass vials and glass cuticle pushers with metal cuticle pusher and a just emery board file, and you can really see a difference of how gentle they are and how much more the glass cuticle pushers remove. So I'm just going to push back my cuticles really quick. I did my nails yesterday, so I'm not going to have a lot of prep work to do. And again, these remove so much more that you don't even know is left on your nail. So if you're having a lifting issue, I highly suggest trying out a glass cuticle pusher first. Also, I will not be buffing my natural nail, but that is another thing. If you are having trouble with lifting and you're not buffing your natural nail, I don't always suggest it all the time, but definitely gently buff the surface of your nail to remove the shine before going in with your pH prep. So because I'm skipping that step, this is next for me. So this is Sparkling Co's Dehydrator, and I'm applying it across all of my nail. This is going to remove any oil and anything that needs to be cleaned off of my nail before application. So I'm gonna go put on some peel base really quick, and then we will start our application. I'm using all VIVIDip products today. So this is Milkmaid, Daydream, Hey Sugar, and I'm also using her clear, which is called Crystal Glass. So I have my base coat here, and I like to start with lightest to darkest and then glitters. So I do that just so it doesn't stain or cross-contaminate my powders or mess up the color pigment. So we just fluff it up really quick. And with my liquids, I always try to make sure that I do not have a lot of product on my brush. So you can see here I'm just getting off as much liquid as I can as possible. With my finger pointed slightly downward, we're gonna go about 3/4 the way up the nail, and we're not going all the way to the cuticle area or on the side walls. And probably one of the most important steps is wiping off your brush. Be sure to wipe it off before it goes back in the bottle. That is going to prevent any cross-contamination and your liquids getting thick or goopy. And now that I've got powder on my nail, you can see it a little bit better. This is how far back I got to my cuticle area and around on the edges. So the reason you might want to do the 3/4 method is because it can help cut down the bulkiness around your cuticle area and give it a more natural look without doing too many extra steps. So I like to start it right about here where my dip powder line is, and then guide the liquid back towards my cuticle area. If you start your brush right at your cuticles, you could possibly flood your cuticles, get the liquid on your skin, and that is also going to cause a lifting issue because as it grows out, it's going to lift. So it's really important to not get this on your skin, and it'll just make for a cleaner application. Be sure to cap your edges. That is going to help prevent any chipping and give your nails that extra strength. Okay, so now that we've done a full dip, I like to use a toothpick, and you can see with my thumb, I am holding my skin back so that I can get as close to my cuticle area as possible without removing too much product. If you do too much, it's going to look like your nails are already grown out before you've even finished your application. So your first layer is 3/4, second layer is a full dip, and now your third layer is another full dip. So this is your last layer. And just being careful not to get it on my skin, going all the way to those side walls, and capping off my edges to prevent any chipping. So normally I would suggest to use a stiff brush. All I had near me was just this fluffy one, but if you want really thin layers, try a stiffer brush, like even just a toothbrush would work. Now we're gonna get started on our next shade, which is Daydream. And again, I'm just gonna start by doing the 3/4 and not going all the way up to my cuticle or around on the side walls. This truly does cut down on having those really bulky nails, and I notice it looks a little bit thicker when I do the 3 full dips when my nails are shorter like this. So I figured it'd be a great time to show you guys how to do this technique. So starting my brush right there at my dip line and then guiding it back to my cuticle. This gives you so much more control over how much liquid you're putting there and where. So you can see I am using my finger to pull the skin back on the sides. This gets it all the way over to those edges without getting it on my skin. So I want to take a minute to cover some of the most asked questions that I get in my DMs and here on YouTube. And one of the topics that I get asked most often is about lifting. So that might be one of the most crucial steps in this whole application. If you want your product to last, you really got to take the time to prep your nails the right way. That's using a cuticle pusher. Like I stated earlier, I'm obsessed with the glass one right now, and really cleaning off any skin or debris you have left on there. I personally like to buff the surface of my nail if I want the product to last. I don't do this if I'm using peel base, but if you are struggling with lifting, gently buff off the shine. It will make such a difference to let that product have something to grab onto. When I was first starting out, I did just rubbing alcohol and it did not do the job for me. I still had a lot of lifting. When I switched over to ASP's dehydrator and also Sparkle & Co.'s, it eliminated my lifting issue. So if you are only doing rubbing alcohol and it's not working, I highly suggest trying a real dehydrator. Okay, topic number 2. How do I get my nails to stay healthy, long, and strong? And absolutely, hands down, it is from the dip powder. I do my very best to make sure that my nails are never naked, which I'm not perfect. They pop off and I don't always have time to reapply them or fix them, so it happens, which is why they look pretty rough right now, because I've had naked nails for a few days and they just get beat up when they don't have the strength of dip powder. And number 2 is cuticle oil. I keep my Candy skincare next to my bedside. I've got it in my purse. It's literally stashed everywhere in this house. I always reapply throughout the day, and it makes such a difference if you take care of your skin. All right, topic number 3, liquid care. So many times I have people message me that your liquids are thick, they're goopy, and you don't know what happened, or if I have any other suggestions for better liquids. And it all starts with making sure you are wiping off your brush after every time it touches your nail. You just never know what's on your skin, what's on your nail. Could be dip powder, it could be activator, it could be anything, and it can cross-contaminate into your liquids and ruin them with just a quick little swipe in the bottle. The best way to protect your liquids is going to be through prevention. I'm going to show you what I do before closing up my liquids and how I protect my top coat after I apply activator. So for my glitters, I like to do just 2 layers of the glitter and then a layer of clear on top. So I am going to do 2 full layers of the glitter rather than the 3/4 method. And then I'm going to show you how I get them all to lay flat. So I'm going to dip my finger into the glitter powder. So this is going to prevent it sticking to my skin. And I'm just gently tapping down any of the glitters that might be pointed up, and to make sure they're laying flat. This is going to cut down on the bulkiness. And with my toothpick, I'm going to clean around the edges, but I'm also going to make sure that there's no little scraggler pieces on the sides, and I'm going to take them off if there is. I've also grabbed a different brush to dust off the glitter just so I don't get it on my other one. So our second layer will also be a full dip. This is still same steps, and be sure that you are wiping off your brush. It can pick up all of these teeny tiny glitter pieces on your bristles. And I know I'm not showing it on camera, but I'm just trying to keep this video as short and sweet as possible. If you don't want to dip your finger into the powder, that's perfectly fine. You can put a little plastic baggie over top of your finger instead and just gently dab on the surface of your nail. So another question I get asked is about getting that clean cuticle line, and the saving grace to that is a toothpick. It does so much of the work for you to just clean up around that area, get the bulk of the powder off, and just give you some guideline of what to follow when you are filing and shaping your nails. Also, keeping that liquid off of your skin and using the brush as your tool to guide it. And of course, buff, buff, buff. Run that buffing block and the nail file around the line to give it a very crisp, clean look. So now we're gonna move on to clear encapsulating our nails. So her clear dip powder is seriously like gold. It is crystal clear. So I am going to use a swatch stick to pour just a teeny tiny bit over a cupcake liner. I don't want to cross-contaminate, get any glitter into my powder, and I really only want to use a teeny tiny bit because that is how good her powder is. I am being sure that I am covering the entire surface of the nail. This is going to protect your glitters from overfiling or buffing or possibly taking off any of the color. All right, so I am going to show you now that I'm done with my base coat. This is what I do with all of my liquids before putting them up. I apologize, I'm out of frame. All I'm doing is just wiping off as much of it on my napkin as possible. And now with this corner, I am going to dry off the rim. This is going to prevent it from getting sealed shut, and if there's possibly anything on it that will contaminate my bottle. So now with my activator, I'm just going to apply a layer of this across all of my nails. This is okay to get on your skin, and it's what's going to harden the dip powder before filing and shaping. We're going to let this dry for 2 minutes and then move on to buffing. So I got this new file here. It's 100 and 180 grit. I've never used one of these types of files before. I always just use 180, so I'm gonna see how I like it. And this is my nail dust collector that I got sent from Melodysusie. I am really enjoying this. It just keeps my nail desk clean. I will have that link down below. I keep it on the lowest fan setting while the little mini naps, and it seems to be doing a really great job, so I'm enjoying it. I will hush for a minute so you can finally just get some peace and quiet during this video, and you can watch me reshape my nails. So with my buffing block, I'm just going to make sure I'm pulling down the skin you see on the sides, getting it all the way over to those edges, and having my nail be as smooth as I can. I really like to run this all around my cuticle area and the side walls just to clean up anything and give it a super crisp look. When you think you're done buffing, go back and buff some more. It really makes such a difference in application. I am going to buff the other nails off camera just to save on some time, but I am truly showing you from start to finish of my thumbnail of how much buffing that I do. I really mean it. When I look at my nail and I think, okay, that looks good, I go back and I buff more. I run it around the edges and just make sure that everything looks great. This is your final touch before you move on to top coat. So you want to make sure it looks exactly how you want it to be. And a quick thought on that nail file that I just used. I really like it. I actually think I like the 100 grit side more than the 180. I've been really struggling with getting a cleaner filing. I feel like a shaping. My nails always just look round to me and I can't stand that. I'm totally a perfectionist with that, and that is something I've been working on. So I actually feel like my nails look pretty square from that 100 grit side. So I'm excited about that. I think I might start with doing that more. So it's time for our second and final layer of our activator. So we're gonna let this dry for a couple minutes before moving on to top coat. Also, I've grabbed a fresh clean napkin for me to wipe my top coat on, and once these nails dry, I'm going to show you, I like to use the napkin to wipe, and it's dry, to wipe off the tops of my nails. This just makes sure that there is no activator residue on my skin or on my nails, because that will harden your top coat brush. So with my top coat, I'm going to show you again. I like to get as little liquid on the brush as possible, and then with my fingers slightly downward, I guide the liquid back towards my cuticle. This gives me control of it, making sure I don't get it on my skin. And then again, super important, be sure you are wiping your brush off before putting it back in your bottle. Then you would move on to doing the rest of your nails, and immediately following, do a second layer. All right, so pretend we just did the rest of our nails, and now it's time for our second layer. Sometimes other brands have you wait until it's dry, but VIVIDip has you go in immediately following. Be sure to cap your edges to prevent any chipping, wipe your brush off, and you are done. So same steps. I like to make sure I get as much off my brush as possible, clean it off, and now we're going to just wipe the rim to be sure there is no liquid there so it doesn't seal, doesn't contaminate, and that's how I keep my liquids from going bad. All right, with my cuticle oil, I've got Nutti chai here. It is heavenly. If you are a coffee lover, it's got that perfect ratio of hazelnut or whatever sorcery she puts in these. It just smells so good. I call CJ the oily unicorn because I don't know what she puts in them, but it's definitely magic. I'm obsessed with it. Every scent she has is heavenly, and it doesn't feel greasy. That is my biggest pet peeve. It absorbs into my skin and I don't feel oily afterwards, but my skin still feels hydrated, which is so important. Okay, here is the final product. I feel like her colors are so dreamy. Like, that is the best way for me to describe this combo right now. I'm just so obsessed. And I tried my very best to jam pack this video with as much information as I could, all of your frequently asked questions. I hope that you found it helpful. I hope that this helps you get a nice, clean application. It helps it last longer for you guys. If you have any other questions, I am here to help. Feel free to comment below. Feel free to message me on Instagram, whatever is easiest for you. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.